Fit in 10 Nation, it is day 56, 2 weeks to go, 14 days. You may not think it's a lot, but it is. It's still 2 weeks, it's still 1/5 of the challenge. And, as I've said before, these final weeks, you should be making more progress than ever. Not because you're doing a little bit more, but because, a little bit more in terms of cardio, a little bit more with your diet, but also because you are better at training, and hopefully you are getting out all the little mistakes and errors and known and unknown errors out from what you're doing, and you're sticking to your guns, and you're actually following your macros. Okay, so when I say actually following your macros, I mean you're actually weighing things out the way you're supposed to, and you're accounting for them, not estimating, okay, not measuring everything out perfectly and entering it into your food data, into your food count, into your food app, and then eating that food. That's great, and then adding more food and not entering it into your diary. No, that doesn't count. Okay, it's doing the pillars exactly, or as close to, as best as you can, okay? Or as close to, really, as best as you can should be what I've outlined, right? Because you're all capable of it. It's just choice. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is just choice, right? You're not going to die with the limited amount of calories that you have, and you're not starving. I know you're not starving. You might be hungry. But you're not starving. And so nobody's, putting a gun to your head and forcing you to eat, right? It's all a choice on your end, right? It's all a choice on your end. Okay, haven't talked about it, but somebody put a post in today as a little haha in Slack about alcohol. Can't wait for Friday because it's going to be alcohol. Then they wrote something like, not yet, but soon. Listen, I want to remind you that alcohol is the worst thing that you can indulge in when it comes to your, when it comes to making changes with your body. Not so much just alcohol in and of itself, not just from the standpoint that it tends to be calorie dense. It also toxifies your liver, and your liver's your primary engine for fat metabolism. But also because it injects something into your life which disrupts your focus immensely. And it makes you feel, as much as you feel perhaps good when you're doing it, it doesn't help you perform in your life. What do I mean by performing in your life? It doesn't help you at being a better human. It doesn't help you towards your goals. Okay, whether we're talking about this challenge or trying to maintain body composition, or physical health, or your job, or your relationships, or anything like that. It doesn't help, okay? It doesn't. I don't care what you say. It doesn't help. All right? So, just a friendly reminder, all right? So, you want to indulge in a little bit after the challenge? Sure. Okay? But don't be, abusing it. And be honest with yourself, okay? I meet many people that do the challenge, or in fact don't. Even they're just clients that come to me for help with diet, and they inevitably say to me, a lot of them say to me that cutting back on alcohol is going to be really, really hard, and a lot of people indulge in alcohol daily. So it is addictive. There is an addictive component to it. It is a depressant, okay? So we all might think it's all fun and happy times, but I'm going to be the party pooper and say to you, you got to take this seriously. Okay, more questions here. If you take 4 or 5 weeks off resistance training, okay, let's take a step back here. This is under the title, Is There Anything You Would Like Me to Cover in This Week's Video Series? If you take 4 or 5 weeks off resistance training, but maintain your cardio and food, how much muscle loss do you lose, generally speaking, and can you regain it to the point when you stopped resistance training quicker? Or is it like starting all over again? Okay, so no, you can gain muscle back. If you lose muscle, you can gain it back quicker, okay? And there's probably a couple reasons for this. There's probably more than a couple reasons. We tend to see people get back to where they were much faster. Obviously, the longer you go without doing it, the harder it's going to be to get back to it. If you take, in this case, 4 or 5 weeks off and you maintained, well, cardio is not going to help you to maintain. Okay, cardio is just, that's an entity unto its own. That's not going to help you to maintain your muscle mass or your strength, really. But your food will. Okay, so if you maintain your food, let me just actually clarify, right? You're asking about muscle loss, right? Just muscle loss. Yeah, so, let's just say you keep your cardio the same, you keep your food the same, you're not really going to lose any muscle. Okay, you shouldn't lose. You might lose a little bit, but you're not really going to lose anything. Now, if this went on for an extended period of time, 4 or 5 weeks is getting to be quite a long time, but still not that long of time, long of period. You're probably going to notice more of a strength decrease, and that's just going to be really probably just lack of using or lack of calling upon the nervous system to, make the muscles fire. That's probably more what you're going to notice. You shouldn't really lose any muscle tissue, especially if your food intake is just as high, okay? And your food intake is good quality food, okay? And you're getting enough protein. So you shouldn't really. I would also like to know that this person adds, I would also like to know if your muscles have trained in certain movements. Do they respond quicker if they have taken a break? Yes, they do. Is this what muscle memory is? Well, this is typically what we call muscle memory, but muscle memory is usually just motor patterns. So you learn a motor pattern, or you practice a motor pattern over time, and when you practice it, you get better and better and better at it. Okay, and this is really something that's stemming from both your central and peripheral nervous system. So it's nervous system based. And it's true that if you haven't done it for a while and you go back to it, the more that you practice it prior, the quicker it will come back, okay? So this might be part of the reason why people tend to gain back the muscle mass and or strength if they've lost it. They did a long period of training and they stop for a little bit and they come back to it. This is probably one of the reasons, is that they know how to go through those motor patterns better. And so there's a better execution of the muscles than, say, somebody who is starting out. That's probably one reason. The other reason is there's probably a host of reasons, but another reason might be the fact that when you train, you tend to develop more satellite cells in the muscle, and these are responsible for basically creating new muscle fibers. And you, from what I do understand, you don't lose these satellite cells. All right, so again, these are like, you can kind of think of them as seeds. So, and if they've developed new muscle fibers, and you've got more muscle fibers than what you did before. So, can I think of any other reasons? Maybe. Not really off the top of my head, but yeah, there's probably a host of reasons. But generally speaking, yes, if you've trained, you take a break, and then you come back to it, there will be, you will get back to where you were much faster than in the beginning. Okay, so in addition to what this person wrote, I'm concerned as I'll be traveling as soon as COVID relaxes, and I don't want to slide backwards too much. You won't slide back too much. You won't. Just keep your food intake up, and obviously stay active for your health. Okay, 9 minutes. Let's get to the message of the day. Message of the day. All right, message of the day. I don't actually have a message from today, but I'm going to read you something, okay? So, all right, so here are 2 things you can control. 2 things that you can control. Your effort and your attitude. Those are 2 things you can control. Your effort and your attitude. And these two things probably are, if they are not the greatest predictors of success in anything, they're right up there. Because this is like, it's really interesting, because when I was younger, I used to think it was your IQ, or it was luck, or it was something. Then you realize as you go through life that it's really just like your attitude and the amount of effort you put into, and that really is what makes the difference between people being successful in a certain endeavor or not. It's not necessarily genetics. Sports, obviously there's going to be some genetics there, but typically speaking in life, for most things, virtually everything, your effort and your attitude will dictate how successful you are at whatever you are working towards. So put that into play for these final 2 weeks, right? All right, positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, and for the love of God, for the love of your family, for the love of society, for the love of just positive energy around us, right? This vibe that we put out. Give some gratitude, all right? We'll talk to you all very soon. See you guys.